Hello everybody and welcome to today's SmackDown watch party. You're about to start watching SmackDown with myself, Tom Colohue. We're going to be live for the next 2 hours with the wonder that is the blue brand. We've got Cody Rhodes, we've got Sami Zayn, we have plenty of Jey Uso, potentially even a little bit of Roman Reigns to keep ourselves occupied, and who can argue with the possibility of a little bit of Roman Reigns. We'll be live for the full 2 hours. Our title today is about Sami Zayn and Jey Uso because honestly, well, we did see the announcement from Dave Meltzer today, or at least a report, that the main event of night one will be Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. I've got to say, for me, the most well-built storyline so far is a Jey Uso and Sami Zayn storyline. Jimmy Uso and in fact Kevin Owens feel like sort of add-ons, late tag-alongs as it were. And honestly, outside of this and the Rey and Dominic Mysterio match, I don't feel much else has been really built that strong. So, we'll see how that one goes. Also tonight we have Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus to determine who will be challenging Gunther at WrestleMania. This one will come down to the wire. I'm really hoping it's going to be both because why wouldn't you want to do that? There were rumours that it would be Brock Lesnar versus Gunther. That was never an intention. Outside of that, not much really announced. We have the Sami and Jey segment. We have Cody Rhodes arriving. We have the match between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. What we need is more from Rhea Ripley and Charlotte this week. They did not deliver as strongly last week as I felt they could have. So I'd like to see a little more added in. We are opening SmackDown with Cody Rhodes. This is what you do if you want to get a crowd hyped for your top guy after all. And a top guy he is. At least on Raw, he's considered a top face. Seems like that's how they're booking him on SmackDown to the detriment of Sami Zayn. Welcome, Si. How you doing, mate? If you're watching at the moment, please remember to hit that thumbs up button. And be sure to say hi. These are interactive shows. It's not necessarily the Q&A system that we do on Spoiler Warning, but still plentiful interactive. We go off the rails a little bit here. You guys lead the show, as it were, and all else fails, we can always just focus on what's happening on screen and, for example, say, whoa. Crowd was not behind that one. Joseph Bridgewood is here as well, saying hi, everyone. Hello, Joseph. How are you? Good to see so many familiar faces. Megan, I've been missing you. Glad to see you back. How you doing? Hope you're feeling good. Carmelina's here saying hi. Sean says hi, Tom. Welcome, everyone. They are pushing the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns main event of WrestleMania up on the screen. I say on the screen, it's just a 3D graphic. Rumours that Roman Reigns will not be here. He's used a lot of his dates for the year already. We are expecting him to take a big break after WrestleMania. Brad Becker here as well saying, hey, Tom. Hello, Brad. Cody soaking in the love. Certainly a lot of people watching via their phones. This crowd doesn't seem too hot for Cody. It might just be that the crowd isn't too hot. And it'll be interesting to see how Cody navigates that. A much better second time for the whoa-oh, which is definitely over. Even if Cody himself, I feel, is struggling to get people behind him because not everyone can relate to having Dusty Rhodes as their dad. That's better. The crowd really getting into him now the music stopped. Megan says, doing okay, thank you. Making good progress on my fundraising streams, which is nice. Hope everyone here and on YouTube are doing well. Thank you, Megan. A Cody chant. Crowd definitely getting behind the guy. We have a cheat pop to start with. To be fair, even Roman does it now. He needs to show up this time, Cody Rhodes. We need a strong promo here to really show where we're going. He doesn't point at the sign, he palms the sign. Joseph says, it's been a good day today, Tom. Glad to hear it, Joseph. Glad to hear it. I've had fun. I do respect Cody for wearing a blue tie for coming to SmackDown. Another brand, you know. Another brand. He's opening with the awkward mutual respect thing. Roman doesn't respect you. You don't have to respect him. Greatest champion in sports and sports entertainment. That's not going to be well received. Megan says, I know there's a lot of talk about the main events. What do you think will be opening matches each night? I would love it, absolutely love it, if the Intercontinental Championship opened one, because you know the crowd's going to be hot after that. and the Tag Team Championship opened the 2nd. That just feels like the right bookends for me because you know the crowd are going to be hot for them. Sean says, possible Cody is drafted SmackDown, takes the WWE title with him, leaving the Universal title on Raw. I find that very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. Hey, Khalid, how you doing? Billy says, Tom, how are you? How are you on schedule for the channel growth after 2 months? Well, we are slightly behind. I won't deny that. We have seen a bit of a slowdown over the past month. Cody Rhodes invited Kevin Owens to come out to the ring, which seems a little bit counterproductive. I'm guessing he's about to advocate for Sami Zayn. As regards schedule, the schedule is that I would have 2,600 by the end of April. Factoring in WrestleMania, of course, I was looking at a boost. I'm on track to reach about 2,350, which is still good. And I certainly will take it. It is still good, but it certainly would not get me to 5,000 by the end of the year. I will gain momentum over the course of it. We'll see how it plays out. And I've also been sort of encouraged to improve the way I'm doing things. We certainly have seen a big increase in the views on the shows recently. I've been a bit more clever with our thumbnails and, of course, with other things, such as the titles, in order to get to where I'm looking for. They're showing a recap of Kevin Owens getting absolutely annihilated by the Usos and Solo Sikoa. I would imagine Cody is indeed going to advocate, which is a tricky spot to be in because he's just getting involved in other people's business now. Traffic says, sup to you, sir. Joseph says, Tom, I think John Cena is on night 2. I'd like that. I'd like that as a match. A Kevin Owens chant as well, KO chant. Venom says, hi, Tom. Hello, Venom. Brad says, who do you see the US Championship match at Mania? Austin Theory versus John Cena. Dom says, what's up, chat? And Tom, don't forget to hit that like button. We are forward for you. It's a new day. Cody interrupting Kevin Owens. People aren't going to like that. Yes, Joseph, I believe you have mentioned it. Cody Rhodes now calling out Sami. He's literally getting involved in other people's business. This is awkward. They're literally putting him in the position of being everybody's pal. That said, can I just say, this is a real hot ring. There is a lot of talent in this ring. I've dropped my pad. Bear with me, guys. I've got to retrieve it. Otherwise, I'll lose my show. Justin says, watching Mary Poppins with the kid, but happy watch along. Thank you, Justin. I hope you have a good time. Sounds like fun. Mary Poppins definitely would hit you when you were a kid. Certainly did for me. Megan says, well, he has to do it in the ring now. He's not an EVP. True. This is very much Cody Rhodes, the AEW character right now, isn't it? They're trying to show he's not a bad guy. You can support him and Sami. Promise. I've read that one. Brad says, I forgot that Theory was the US champion. That's on you. Been champ for a while. Boston Fury, Joseph. Boston Fury. I don't see this being the day they reunite, but I believe it's very, very close. Christoph, we've only been going for 10 minutes, so you haven't missed anything. Welcome to the show. Cody Rhodes is in the ring with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I kind of just say this is a triple threat I need in my life. The booking for Cody Rhodes is very blatant. It is very much The Rock lifting Roman's arm after the Royal Rumble win. He self-celebrates a lot, Cody. He's talking about AEW again. Fans are not really behind it. Fans are supporting him so much in WWE because he left. He is applauding Kevin Owens for making AEW's launch better. The fans aren't really into applauding that. They've tried it. It's just a little bit awkward. Cody's put himself into a very difficult spot right now in between two people who are clearly doing their own thing and clearly having their own problems. There's a hog it out chant coming from the fans. Mr. Stumble, welcome, says Tom, when are you going to expose the truth about Ezekiel and Elias? The biggest rumour since the Ultimate Warrior body double. Maybe I do need to dive a little bit more into that. We could have a fun video on that. Kevin Owens now interrupted by Sami Zayn as well. Venom says, I want Ciampa to have a one-off return to NXT. It does make sense. It does, though I do feel that a lot of people have gone back to where they were 5 years or so ago under Triple H. Sami Zayn making a passionate plea for Kevin Owens to back him up. Joseph says, yo bro, I'm good, just enjoying life, getting ready for the biggest WrestleMania, watching with the best and only Tom. Best and only. Like one and only for Ricochet, but better. We are definitely going to have a lot of Sami Zayn tonight. There is a Jey Uso segment coming, likely to be our draw segment or our main event. And of course we have this our opening segment. I worry that this will be all we get from Cody. Kevin Owens really cannot be picky here. He's the great betrayer. Bailey says, any chance we could get Elias on Raw and Ezekiel on NXT? 2 for the price of 1. Well, ideally, I think we all want the tag team. It's like the Hart Foundation, you know? They'll be a legacy act. They'll be historic. They're everything we want. Is it what Michael Cole wants? Cody Rhodes speaking for the people now. Speaking for the people is what worked against him in AEW. Because the people realised that he wasn't speaking for them, and they weren't particularly comfortable with it. This crowd reception is not working in his favour at the moment. He's in the way. He's just in the way. Another hug it out chant. Mr. Stumble says, have we considered that Sami Zayn might be Santa Claus with colour-dyed hair? No, you see, Santa's ginger. In reality, when it comes to Christmas, he just rubs some snow in there to hide the fact that he might indeed be Sami Zayn. Megan says, why not mention to Kevin he only needs the tag titles to be a Grand Slam champion? Well, he is a prize fighter. He is a prize fighter. I do believe the go-home show main event will be the 3 men in the ring right now versus Roman and the Usos. Sami Zayn is still working to take out the Bloodline. Cody Rhodes is focused on something very different, but they're bringing him into this. Joseph says, Tom, what would you do if The Rock was in WrestleMania backstage? I'd be surprised. It'd be nice if he popped in for a promo or a segment or something. But he tends to do a lot of damage when he does that. Fair question by Kevin Owens. Clear that Sami Zayn's approaching this all wrong. Kevin Owens walks away and gets booed. I feel like he's definitely getting attacked again tonight. He's put himself in the firing line there. Exposed himself as a solo act. They're hyping up the segment later on, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. Jey Uso, as we know, has not got the courage of his convictions anymore. He doesn't feel confident of the decisions he's made. We are opening of our mixed tag match. Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley will be taking on Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega. I don't believe for a second that Santos and Zelina have a chance here. Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio have become a hugely important part of SmackDown, which is interesting considering they're both on Raw. Christoph says, hopefully the face-off between Roman and Cody Monday will be better than the first one. It has to be. It really has to be. Hi Stuart, how you doing, mate? We have ourselves a 2K commercial featuring John Cena, Triple H, and Bad Bunny. Oh, and a little bit of Logan Paul in there as well. Of course they did. A little bit of Logan Paul, but that's just a BT Sport one. So our first 15 minutes has added a lot of intrigue. The question, it's a question to an answer that we all have already. We all know eventually this tag team championship match is going to happen. One way or another, Kevin Owens will eventually decide to forgive Sami Zayn, get on the same page, and take down the Bloodline. And they'll be a tag team for a while. I expect this to run for about 6 months to a year. At least until the return of RK Bro. I believe it's RK Bro. I nearly forgot the name then. At least until they return to be the top babyface team. Of course, they're not 100% certain that we're going to have FTR come back, so whether or not there'll be a revival, they cannot really plan for that with creative. So we're looking at Street Profits, we're looking at Viking Raiders, we're looking at those as tag teams that can get involved with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn after WrestleMania. The Usos, however, likely to fall off the map quite considerably. They, after all, need to make sure that the Bloodline is vanquished at WrestleMania. There'll still be things for the Bloodline. The Usos will still be wrestling. Solo Sikoa will still be working. But the Bloodline needs to be dealt a serious blow. And we got a big hint on that on the YouTube channel of the WWE today when they uploaded the complete history of the Bloodline. That was very, very telling of the direction that they are going in this WrestleMania. It is about one unifying story. How to stop the Bloodline. How to not just stop Roman, but also stop everyone who protects Roman. Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa. How do you stop this? In many ways, because of this, I'm most shocked that Solo Sikoa doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. I'd just like to tease the option of Bobby Lashley versus Solo Sikoa, because I do feel that would really help the overall storyline. Sean says Tiffany Stratton versus Indy Hartwell was made for NXT. Winner advances to the NXT Women's title match at Stand and Deliver. I see Tiffany winning, but not winning the title. Also says RK Bro could always return as heels. It really depends on the return. If they return with momentum, they'll return as faces. They're just too popular. James says, do you think it will happen the SmackDown before Mania? No, as regards Kevin Owens and Sami, I think it will happen the Raw before Mania, because I think the SmackDown before Mania is when we will have the 6-man tag match. Joseph is a fan of Cody, John Cena, and The Rock. So the big names in wrestling, he likes them. He likes them. James says Brock versus Solo would be a banger. Absolutely. I think Solo versus Gunter are also worthy of a mention there. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with Wrestling Days there, but whatever works for you guys. I know you watch multiple shows, and I appreciate you choosing me regardless. Brad says, Tom, Zero News is reporting. Christoph says, funny you said that, Tom. I also got a tweet suggesting Bobby versus Solo, heel versus heel. You say that, but ultimately they do want to phrase Bobby as the level of prize fighter that Kevin Owens was all about. Sami Zayn is trying one last effort. One last effort. He's accepting that Kevin Owens was right about what he said. Sami Zayn himself is the one saying we're not friends. It's starting to sound like Bloodline Sami always talk about brothers. I strongly suspect everything he's saying now is something he could also be saying to Jey Uso later. Once again, he's just reduced to looking for allies. Kevin Owens is leaving. Ignoring the love from Sami Zayn in the greenest car I have ever seen. What is that? It's so green. It's just so green. Very distracting. Massive satellite dish. What can I say? What do I do with that? Oh look. We have troll. Just going to ban the troll on the Twitch side. And that's as much as my life as it actually takes out. Megan says, who do you think will be the most disappointed to be missing WrestleMania this year? Big E, AJ, or Orton? So AJ is this close, and that's the problem. He is this close to a point of returning. And that's a bit of a shame, because I feel knowing that he's this close will affect him in that way. Orton is nowhere near returning. He's simply not ready to get back involved. He won't be particularly disappointed. He'll be back when he can be back. Big E, though, that's a difficult one to read. A very difficult one to read. Sean says, I'd also put Alexa on the list, which I think is also a fair comment. Of course, she's basically waiting for a call and she just isn't getting one. Joey says, it's a nice car KO has. Very green. Very green. Very green. We're getting a recap of last Friday, when Dominic Mysterio took on... when Judgment Day took on Legado. Dominic Mysterio picking up another pin on the way to WrestleMania. Please remember when you join the chat to click like. We have 18 viewers at the moment and 12 likes, so that's 2/3. Damn good return. If you're able to, please remember, just hit the thumbs up. We are also looking to continue building our subscriber base. We are currently at 2,213. Every little does help the growth of the channel, and I would very much appreciate it if you are able to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. 2,214. We have gained one since we started. Traffic says... I've got to go back to the one. Traffic says, AJ is one of my favourites. Would love for him to make it, just because his WrestleMania opportunities are numbered, which is a fair point. He is currently discussing a potential new contract. He has said previously his current contract will be his last one. The WWE would like to keep him, and are certainly making waves in the attempt to do so. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. Zelina Vega is bringing a Rey Mysterio mask down. Actually, I don't know if that's a Rey Mysterio mask. I think that's just a mask. You'll note that the rest of Legado are not there. That is because they were worried about presenting them accidentally as heels. Dom says, which WrestleMania match do you think the winner will be? Shocking to everyone that they won. At the moment, with the way it's playing out, probably Cody. Don't know how, but we are where we are. Mustafa Maholi says, St. Patrick's Day card. That is a good shout. I did not even consider that might be the source of the green. Dad says, is Ray on tonight, Tom, or a promo? I think he'll make a brief appearance, much like he has done over the last few weeks. Christoph says, I got a feeling KO and Sami will go on to Mania as unlikely partners. The big reconciliation will be after they win the titles. I don't think they'll entirely trust each other, but I think they'll be involved. Rhea Ripley's immediately gone after Santos Escobar. Zelina Vega is tagged in, which is always a risk. Not necessarily a risk I'd take. Zelina Vega is one of those. Very, very talented, good technical wrestler. Very rarely gets the opportunity to actually show it. Rhea Ripley might not be the ideal opponent for her, but it does create some decent opportunities. Carmelina says, do you think she is going to turn on Roman at WrestleMania? Who's she? If you're asking about Rhea, I don't think she's going to turn on Roman, no. We are off into commercial break with Zelina Vega on Santos Escobar's shoulders. Good momentum. They've taken down Judgment Day, but it's Judgment Day. They never stay down for long. Jey. No, Carmelina, I do not believe Jey is going to turn on Roman at WrestleMania. I think that will come after WrestleMania. I think in the days after WrestleMania, we will see the full destruction of the Bloodline. And then we will see certain changes for factions. Judgment Day will go over to SmackDown, in my opinion, and will become one of, if not the top faction of the division. Damian Priest getting opportunities, Finn Balor getting opportunities, and of course, I think Rey Mysterio, not Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, may have to bounce off Gunter. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the potential of a Damian Priest versus Gunter feud. I'd very much enjoy that. I think both can be very hard-hitting and can take a good hit, and that would be a good place for Judgment Day to slot in. Joseph says, I think it's just selfish what Dominic has done to Rey. He is a heel. We are supposed to hate him. And in that, he's done a very, very good job. Christoph says, Finn and Rhea versus Edge and Charlotte would be good. 2 build-ups in the same match. The fact that all of the focus at the moment, all of the focus has been on Santos Escobar as a proxy for Rey, has been handy. It does suggest maybe the feud will keep going after WrestleMania, but we'll wait and see what happens there. Megan says, I was in the middle of typing, give me Priest versus Gunter when you said it. It's just, I don't think we've seen enough of Priest recently. We know what he can do, but we haven't really had the opportunity to really see him do it for a while. I think if Judgment Day do move to SmackDown, that will create a lot of opportunities. And Sean says, remember, Zelina is a former Impact Women's Tag Team Champion under the name Rosita. That doesn't necessarily mean she's a great wrestler. I just need to be clear on that one. But I do believe, independently, she is a great wrestler regardless. Very, very talented. Joey says, what post-Mania storylines and new feuds do you see happening? Again, I think Damian Priest Gunter has certainly got some potential there. Drew McIntyre will need a new opponent. I could see potentially Drew versus Cody being something that happens, or Drew versus Seth for the vacated championship. I can see that one working. There aren't many storylines I can see going long term or continuing to go. As I say, I'd like to see Street Profits versus Sami and Kevin Owens. I'd very much like to see that. And potentially the Revival versus the Usos. After all, if the Usos are going to have the break of the Bloodline, they might as well lose a few matches en route. Horsey, you're right, mate. Says, can't stay, has got to pick my wife up, wanted to say hi and throw a like. Have a great stream and see you Monday, mate. Thank you, Horsey. I appreciate that. I hope you have a great night yourself. Joey says, if Braun Breaker goes to the main roster, I could see Triple H putting him in a feud with Brock to have someone with big star power putting him over. I sincerely doubt Brock Lesnar would choose to lose to a debuting Braun Breaker. Much like there was a report from Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrazo that they believe Gunter needs maybe another year to get to a level where he can credibly beat people like Brock. Braun Breaker would not be getting the Brock Lesnar push from when Brock Lesnar himself debuted. I don't personally see it. Horsey says, smash those likes and share for new subscribers to find this amazing content. Thank you, Horsey. Big pop from the crowd for a Santos Escobar drop kick. Been quite inventive with his offense. Little shimmy there. He needs to be careful with that. There does come a point where too many people are paying homage to Eddie Guerrero and it stops meaning anything. Bailey says, on the whole, SmackDown has been underwhelming over the past 3 months, but as long as they're getting over 2 million viewers, then there's not much incentive to improve the product. I think they're pushing all of their creative juices into the Sami Zayn element. Anything involving Sami has been fantastic. Anything involving Roman has been fantastic. There are certain areas where we're lacking, but I think at this point, the WWE have made the decision to focus almost entirely on people who will feature at WrestleMania. I know we have Santos Escobar and Zelina here who are not going to feature, but they are there to serve a purpose. They are the proxy for Rey Mysterio. They are the proxy for Charlotte in many ways. Just essentially saying, look, we can still put great matches on without these people and continue to hype these people. Dominic and Rhea needed some wins along the way, and they needed some time in front of a crowd. They've generated a lot of heat for themselves, which is actually working brilliantly long term to build them to be credible challengers to legends of the business such as Charlotte and Rey. Lovely DDT sell from Rhea, maybe a bit much in the end. She goes a bit rock sometimes. I think it's just because she is so tall, when she flails her arms like that, it does look a bit confused. Joseph says, it is 2 more weeks till Mania. Yes, it is. Christoph says, if Finn wins at Mania, I could see him being Cody's first challenger. And I would like that. I would very much like that. Finn Balor makes sense as a challenger for Cody. And Joey says, I don't expect WWE to put a ton of effort into their shows since their biggest pay-per-view of the year is coming up. I still would expect them to put effort into the shows because you have to hype WrestleMania. The whole point of TV is to hype the big shows. You don't get bigger than WrestleMania. So if you're not hyping it now, what's the point in hyping it at all? So far, Dominic and Rhea have essentially just been battered from pillar to post. Zelina Vega once again really showing what she can do. Hurricane Rana to Dominic. She's exposed herself. Rhea's grabbed her. That's that. Oh, that looked vicious. And she did the sexy pin. You don't kick out of the sexy pin. You kind of don't want to kick out of the sexy pin. Because if you do, she'll keep hitting you. And you don't want that. You do not want that. And Mustafa says, I would have still liked a more tactical, slow 2-night beatdown on Roman's titles. One each night for Cody night 1, Sami night 2. But sowing the seeds of the post-Mania feeding frenzy on Roman. I would agree there should be a feeding frenzy of Roman. People should be popping up. The vultures should descend on a broken man. But it depends how broken Roman will be by Cody Rhodes. Joey says, I could see all of Legado versus the Judgment Day at Backlash, since Damian Priest and Zelina are from Puerto Rico. That would be fun. That would be a good combination. Dominic Mysterio has a microphone. He said boss, which is of course naturally a reference to Rey Mysterio. Huge heat from the crowd. Both of them look very proud of that. Kieran says, I wouldn't kick out of it. Yeah, she'll keep hitting you. Sometimes you just got to lay down and hope for the best. Dominic pausing and the crowd booing him as if by instruction. Dominic is hitting most of the same notes that he has previously. There's nothing particularly new here, but the heat does continue to build. I'd imagine we're going to get something more from Eddie. This promo looks a bit scripted, probably made for the hype package just to fill in some gaps that they have. Rey Mysterio is currently backstage in a pink mask that actually matches the arena. I've just realised Rhea Ripley was missing her gauge, her earring. Interesting. Sean says, WWE posted a match from WrestleMania 34 between Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. I commented on it saying Alexa should have won it, would have gotten her heat. It absolutely would have. I can't necessarily say she should have won it. At the time, Nia Jax was a hot commodity, and the 10-person tag match the next day really shows that Nia Jax had a lot of positive momentum behind her. It was destroyed when Ronda Rousey got involved with her, but it was good. Yes, Joseph, a lot more matches are going to be added because at the moment only half the matches have been formally announced. They're not just going to let it stop there. They have a whole new selection to book. And then, of course, we get all the hype of this will be night 1, this will be night 2, and so on and so forth. We are a half an hour into SmackDown. We are on a commercial break. We've just seen Rey Mysterio, who is likely coming down to the ring. We still need something for Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Typically, Judgment Day are doing double duty on SmackDown at the moment, but I think that's telling. Sami Zayn is doing double duty on SmackDown. Judgment Day are doing double duty on SmackDown. Kevin Owens, a Raw star, is there. Cody Rhodes, a Raw star, is there. Judgment Day are Raw stars, and they are there. It shows that there's a lot of people on SmackDown that Triple H right now is just not focusing on at all. They are bringing in a lot of people from over on Raw, but we're not seeing much of much of SmackDown talent on Raw. If we see Bobby Lashley tonight, that's another Raw superstar, because it certainly doesn't seem like we're going to see Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's kind of been forgotten about by the WWE, so whatever it is that's causing him to be missing, we're certainly not getting much out of it. Bailey says, Rhea's Stranger Things movie segment was great. She's naturally beautiful and a future media star. She is actually, by the way, very good with the media training. She may have needed some previously, and upon receiving some, she took it seriously. There is a few people that you'll see have got public relations training. I carried out an interview previously. It was only a 5-6 minute interview because I asked 10 questions in that 5-6 minutes. The person on the other side seemed a bit nervous, answered however she could, and it was slightly awkward. Eventually I was just like, okay, that's all the questions I've got. I'm just going to wrap up there because I don't feel like I'm going to get much out of you here. The next time I interviewed her, completely different scenario. Clearly some public relations training there. Rhea Ripley is one of those, much like Dominic himself, who will always turn up. Historically, I still remember The Miz saying that when it came to Media Day, the people who would be there on time, no matter what, talking to the media, were always two people, The Miz and Cody Rhodes. Typically on media day, you have to add an extra hour because the wrestlers will be late. Wrestlers, by and large, do not enjoy media days in my experience. They don't enjoy media days. The Miz, Cody Rhodes, and now people like Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio, they're the exception. As regards Eddie Guerrero, Mustafa says the young fans don't get what it was like to follow him from the start. See, I wasn't watching during the time in which we unfortunately lost him, so I didn't feel the impact at the time. I sort of caught up later on it because I just wasn't following wrestling. But yeah, he had a big impact. Joseph says, I can see The Rock being at WrestleMania, not doing nothing. I think he could just be backstage. I don't see that happening. Joey says, do you think they'll try and push Karrion Kross again after Mania? I can see him joining Judgment Day. I don't see him joining Judgment Day. I know you've mentioned that one before. But I do see him being pushed. They will renew the push and try something a little bit different. They will continue to do that with a lot of different people. A lot of different people. A lot of the people who aren't being featured heavily right now will be looking at some changes around in the draft, and they're looking at creative relaunch for them, which has huge potential. Huge potential. Mustafa says, could be a media deal. If Fox lets Roman appear on Raw, then they will get everyone they want on SmackDown for sharing the biggest storyline with USA. True, a very fair comment. Peter says, I had that for my radio show. One person was nearly impossible to chat with as I only gave one-word answers, but hey-ho. One day, I will release the audio of the worst interview I've ever been a part of, and I wasn't even asking questions. I was just supporting a colleague and facilitating. That's all I was doing, and it is easily the worst interview I've ever been even in the room for. The wrestlers in question did not want to talk. They did not want to answer questions. They were cynical. They were sarcastic. The questions being asked were bad. They were obvious. They were clearly in character. It was just very awkward in general. Nobody was asking interesting questions. It's funny. Rey Mysterio has asked Rhea Ripley to step out and allow Rey and Dominic to speak. Dominic certainly has a lot to say. Peter says, and there was one person who I called a different name all the way through, but she never complained. Awkward. That unfortunately is a lack of confidence, isn't it? Joseph says, Tom, who do you think would make a great host for WrestleMania if The Miz was not doing it? Bad Bunny would be good. Pat McAfee would be good. That was a watch your language. Very close to a very rude word. KXI says, can anyone confirm to me if Sami and Jey are fighting or just meeting face to face? They are just meeting face to face. They may get physically involved. Peter says, hey Tom, you rock. Smash the likes, people. I will get the tables out. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. We're doing well for the likes at the moment, by the by. We have 32 viewers and 19 likes. Please do remember, if you can, hit like as you join the show as well. And please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. We do these watch parties every single week, as well as our news shows on Mondays and Fridays. Joey says they just showed Saraya on a WWE commercial. I'm surprised since she's in WWE. I'm not surprised. It's a documentary about her. She is the topic. Sean says, I'd like to see you interview MJF. He would definitely hit me. 100%. 100%. And I'd be okay with it. Spider Cop says, what would your thoughts be if Roman beats Cody at Mania? Surprise, because I don't see it. Spider Cop. Do I know that name? Do you go by something spider related elsewhere? Christoph says, true to me, Tom. From someone who lived it at the time, the impact of Eddie's passing was massive, just like for Owen Hart. Up to this day, still feel sad when I talk about it. The Owen Hart episode after he unfortunately passed, that still hits me. I was very young, and it really helped the whole concept of death there because it was a bolt out of the blue. Rey Mysterio is getting emotional here. Dominic seems a little bit frozen, but seems a little bit pissed off. Rhea Ripley has not been shown at any point, and that makes me very suspicious. Ray is offering an olive branch. Wants Dominic to be there with him for the Hall of Fame. The fans hijacking slightly with a "you deserve it" chant, but I think we can forgive them for that one. There is no denying that he does deserve it. Joey says, was there any wrestling journalist it was difficult for you to work with? Yes, Joey, there were several. One day I'll do the full expose. Today is not that day. Some of you know the names already, and I certainly won't deny them if you ask the question. But yes, some wrestling journalists were bad faith people. They were bad people. And they were there to try and harm the careers of others. That was my experience. Rey Mysterio. Them's fighting words. Are we confirming the match? There is a kick his ass chant. They are very close together. Dominic, when he's actually facing Rey, his eyes go a little bit softer. Rey has dropped the microphone. He wants this moment. He must be so proud of Dominic. He must be so proud. Oh, he's backing out of it now. Rey's walking away. He still will not fight Dominic. God, when he starts, when this hits fever pitch, oh, it's going to be good. Rey has refused the WrestleMania match. We know it's coming. Rhea was actually respectful there, I've got to say that. Dominic goading again. Rhea doing a bit of background acting as well. Rey is walking away. Going after the height, I feel. Rey still walking. Dominic's got no killer blow. He can't convince Rey. Segment's over. I do think they're going to come to blows. Naturally, I've been reporting this match for about 3 months now. But we're getting very close to the day. Tonight we get Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. A match that never disappoints. Never disappoints. The winner takes on Gunter at WrestleMania. I hope that there is no winner. Mustafa says they better figure out some connective tissue between Cody and the boys beyond just speaking, then it might work. Not quite hooked yet. Certainly he seems to be sort of leeching off the popularity of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Sorry, what did you just announce? We have formally announced the Fatal 4-Way Tag Matches at WrestleMania. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in the first match to determine who will qualify. Logically, they have to be there. I did report earlier today in spoiler warning, Triple H is trying to ensure WrestleMania paydays for certain people under advisement of other people in WWE. This is not a choice that he himself made. He was convinced to change his mind and include more wrestlers onto the card than he initially wanted. They do want to rebuild tag divisions, particularly with new challengers after WrestleMania for the men's division and some actual tag teams for the women's. This is a way to actually build it and also get some matches and some quality options. Liv Morgan will be wrestling against Tegan Nox in this because it's Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Emma and Tegan Nox. Logically, it has to be Liv Morgan and Raquel because they've actually been a tag team at some point. But Liv also tagged with Tegan Nox. A lot of history there. A lot of history. Joseph says, I think we know Cody's going to beat Roman. A lot of people don't seem to want to accept it. You have a trust, do you, Christoph? Fair enough. Sean says, what do you think it will take for Ray to finally accept the match? Oh, I think he's going to get jumped. I think he's going to get jumped and he's going to have no choice but to defend himself. Mustafa says, if Rhea is the new China, does that mean Dom is the next Triple H? Nope. It means Dom is the next Eddie Guerrero, which I think they've leaned into just enough. They haven't gone too far with it. They haven't gone too far. They've lent in just enough with the hair, with some of the mannerisms. They've not done overkill on it. They've just highlighted the connections that are already there. And then before you know it, at some point, he's going to end up calling Rhea Mamacita. You know it. You know it. Kieran says, I wonder what Dom is going to have to say or do to actually make Ray want to fight him. Joseph says, Tom, I think if Eddie was still here, Eddie would talk Dominic out of it. I don't know. He's not still here, so it doesn't really matter on that one, does it? Joey says, why do wrestling journalists not want to help each other with getting the info out? It seems like people just try to look better to benefit themselves. Some people do. There are certainly some wrestling journalists who have made every attempt to support me and to help the growth of my individual channel and so on and so forth. And there are plenty who are insulted that I have exclusive news that they don't. They are not only insulted, but they are trying desperately at times to try and say that they're better than me. It's the same as any other field. You always get some bad faith people. There was someone that I used to work with who almost every day would be speaking to the management team above me, calling me a liar. And every single day he'd be told, no, he isn't. Here's proof. Go away. Again, I'm not going to sit here and name names. This particular person is no longer involved in wrestling media, which tells me everything about who they are. They literally loved it so much that they ran away. James says, going to get that Celtic Warrior back? I think so. I mean, it's Sheamus. He's certainly been elevated a lot in the last year, and he's thoroughly deserved it. There is a lot of love for Sheamus now, and it's very well deserved. Bailey says, who are the heels in this match? It's going to be a short match. There doesn't necessarily have to be heels. I think the fans will be behind Liv Morgan because she's a bigger name. James says, is the men's tag at Mania going to be a fatal four-way as well? It seems so, yes. I believe that was announced. Joey says, these are meaningless matches just for the sake of getting people on the card. Sounds like a Vince idea. I'm going to go ahead and no comment that one. I think I've given you enough information to make your own opinions known. Dom says, do you think we'll get the Demon at WrestleMania? I heard Finn gave a teaser on Raw. There was a teaser. I think it's probably likely they need to do something to just make us more interested, because we've seen a lot of this particular feud, and I've got to be honest, feud fatigue has long since set in on this one. So I do think they'll do something like including the Demon King Finn Balor. Finn Balor, though, not a big fan of using it. Christoph says, okay, I've got Ronda and Shayna versus Liv and Raquel versus Carmella and Chelsea versus Nikki and Candice, maybe? Maybe. I mean, there are not a lot of tag teams. They are trying to rebuild the division, and certainly this would get Ronda and Shayna onto the card with plenty of people in the ring with them. If you recall, when it came to Ronda Rousey, I did previously report, because of the injury, they are trying to add lots of different people into the match to try and protect her, and it would involve her wrestling less. Also true of Dakota Kai, which is why we have a 6-woman tag for her. Tegan Nox slapped Raquel and then sold it like she'd hurt her hand. Austin says, I'm guessing Shayna and Ronda will be in the four-way. I hope they get a tag title match. Maybe. It may be that they push that back to Backlash. After all, they still have plenty of people and plenty of time. But as long as we get some good matches out of it, why not? Keem says, his real mom's going to give the okay Friday night. We'll see on that one. There certainly is a temptation to get her involved. Eric says, Tom, what is it going to take? I want Ray Dom so bad. I just think Ray's going to get jumped. Raleigh Welcome says, hi Tom, did you see the Eddie Kingston news? Sure you did. He got C-word, pandemic, speedy recovery, Eddie. Ah, yes, thank you. I did not see it, Raleigh. I wish him the best of luck with that one. Hopefully he'll be able to push through. He's plenty fit, so he should be fine. Mustafa says, Tom then is Juvie Eddie for now. Oh, Dom then. The Who's Your Pappy storyline could bring back Vicky and Chavo, sure. Family with Conan at the head, replicate the Bloodline. I don't think they'd want to replicate the Bloodline, but I certainly think it could create a faction, and it'd be a faction worth having. I don't expect this match to go into the draw segment. I don't expect it to be particularly long. The crowd aren't particularly hot for it, but there's plenty of time for it to build. Nice move from Emma. Liv Morgan building to a hot tag, but a brief one at that. Riley says, being a wrestling journalist as your job, quick question. Do you think Rhea beats Charlotte at Mania? Yes, I do. Yeah, wrestling journalist is my job. I don't sit here saying that this YouTube channel is all about journalism and so on and so forth. There is quite a lot of punditry, commentary, just old-fashioned reporting. It's not all about news. I am thinking of, for example, adding in Raw and SmackDown reviews again. Adding them back into the fray. I remember when I first started the YouTube channel and I was getting 20, 30 views a day, and it was not good. It was not good. But that's the platform on which I built. So I've been thinking about adding Raw and SmackDown reviews back in. But once again, that wouldn't be as a journalist. That would just be as a fan. So spoiler warning is where I sit as a journalist. These shows I'm more of a fan, and I'm more chilled out, and I have a great time. A watch party. I tell you, I never knew how much fun I'd have until we started having them. Once we started having them, and at the last pay-per-view, we went into our favourite crisp for several hours. It's just good stuff. It's just good stuff. We currently have 41 viewers and 22 likes. Please remember, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. I'd very much appreciate it, and it would very much help the growth of the channel. We are with a target of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. In order to do that, we're aiming for 2,600 by the end of April. WrestleMania should be a big help. We're currently on 2,216. You will get watch parties like this every single week, plus plenty more to check out. Christoph says, I remember you've said that. I also said Becky and Lita double duty was bad, so Hunter must agree with both of us. Liv Morgan going for the finish. Emmett gets hit. Another kind of sexy pin. There's definitely been an effort to make stronger pins. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez with the win. I suspect that may be the only women's match on the card tonight. And now we can say with certainty, Liv Morgan will make it to WrestleMania. She's limping slightly. Liv Morgan. No, she's okay. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will be wrestling as a tag team at WrestleMania. Riley says, not me saying it. Brian Alvarez 3 hours ago. Thank you, Riley. I must have been... She is limping, isn't she? She is limping. We are heading into a Charlotte Flair segment for the draw segment. Telling. Eric says, Liv is smiling while getting her ass kicked. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, she's, hardcore now. Mustafa says, the story is there. Vicky takes the mommy role from Rhea. No, I don't think she quite does. I don't think you recognise what you're saying there. Then Edge goes back to his old faction for one last run versus Vicky and Dom. I don't see it. Sean says, I saw someone posting a tweet saying Roman needs to beat Cody because Cody has never had a major setback, and losing to Roman would be the major setback. The injury was a setback for Cody. Yeah, some people really make up their own stories. Charlotte Flair is on her way down to the ring with 5 minutes to go. I'm interested to see how the crowd responds to it. Bailey says, I would never get into the discussion on talent cuts, but if NXT talent isn't moving up, it's not doing its job, which I think is a fair comment. NXT is supposed to be developing talent ready to become main roster wrestlers. If it is not doing so, it is not fit for purpose. We spoke about the very green car. Charlotte with a very green outfit. St. Patrick's Day is being very much respected. Joey says, I wish we could have got Becky versus Bayley in a singles match. I don't like when WWE uses part-timers over the active talent. We are still getting Becky versus Bayley, but you're right, it's not a singles match at this point. Ah, yes, Eric, good shout. We did have Zelina as well. We've had 2 matches featuring women at least. Christoph is excited that Liv is going to WrestleMania. Dominic says, hi Tom, just joined. Any news on Big E and Ronda Rousey? Ronda Rousey still injured. They were thinking of putting together a big tag team match. I reported this last week. So that Ronda Rousey could be protected in the match. She wouldn't have to tag in and be as involved. That match seems like it's happening, but of course we're not sure if Ronda Rousey is going to be part of it. As regards Big E, he is recovering well. There is still a lot of physio and muscle therapy to undertake before we can say one way or the other what's going to happen, but he's recovering well, he's in high spirits, and I would not be very surprised to see him back at the WWE before the year is out. Same is true, of course, of Randy Orton. Riley says, sorry, is Liv in another tag team? Oh my god, her and Raquel. Liv is so good, underrated, my favourite women's wrestler, totally improved, last 2 to 3 years, just like you should, just like I should. Do I need to improve? You tell me to improve, Riley. You tell me to improve. Kemple says, what is... Oh, sorry, James. Read your surname. Says, what is she wearing? Good question. It's very green. Eric says, Liv is going to Mania. I'm excited. Good to know. Good to know. It's funny. If you're patient, you tend to get what you want. It's weird. Riley says, just heard this stupid comment, Tom. Xavier Woods should get cut because Kofi and Big E are injured. Well, that's ridiculous, and maybe you should stop reading Twitter. Stick in here where people act in good faith, you know? Anyone who isn't acting in good faith, we'll get rid of. We've had to kick quite a few people recently, and we will continue to do so if people are not behaving as they should. So we are an hour through SmackDown. Charlotte Flair looks set to be our draw segment. She does need to pick up the pace in her feud with Rhea Ripley. We have 2 weeks left, and honestly, the hype just is not there at this point in time. Rhea Ripley is likely to be involved, though, again, I wouldn't mind if Dominic was involved. He adds a lot to it. The promo last week wasn't fantastic. I do think there was a lot more that Rhea could and should have done. It was a very slow-paced promo. Charlotte as well didn't seem to have much to work with and seemed to be a bit put off by the energy expended during the previous match. He seemed a bit winded. So it was an awkward segment. Hopefully, we see them kick it into gear here. Megan says it would be nice if more women got on the card for more than just filler with no real story, but at the same time, I'm glad they'll be getting the Mania payday either way. I agree, and in many ways, they are trying to build a new women's tag team division, with the idea being that it will mean plenty of opportunities for those women in the future. You can't just pair women up, but at the same time, you don't have a tag division without doing that. So I think this is the right call. I think we're moving in the right direction, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do with it. It's just a case of when they actually get round to it, you know? They're not doing enough at the moment. Eric says, does the winner at Mania get a title shot? They have not confirmed that. Dom says, I enjoy the content you do. You're officially a bro. I talked to Matt Riddle about it. Sure you do, Dom. Sure you do. I'm sure you did, Eric. Now, if you want to talk about that, we can potentially talk about it, but we do so respectfully. Joey says people wanted Ridge Holland fired because of the Big E injury. The IWC is toxic as F. Big E himself, of course, did not want that and is on record making it very clear that he does not blame Ridge Holland in any way. Riley said, just like wrestlers should improve. Sorry, not you, Tom. You're great, don't worry. Also, wrestling live stream, said Xavier comment, not Twitter. Then maybe, Riley, can I suggest, again, stick around here where we're not like that. James thinks SmackDown has been slacking lately. Personally, I agree. This week so far has been pretty good. I'll say that. I've been enjoying it. Last week was better than the previous. I think they're gaining momentum and doing okay. Keen wants to see Dominic versus Rick at Backlash. Joey says this should be the women's tag team title contender match instead of being a nothing filler match. There is no guarantee, Joey, that that's not what they're actually looking to do. Joseph says, I'm looking forward to WrestleMania. It's going to be big. Mostly I watch it every year. It's the most biggest 7. I'd love it. So much to see legends rise. Kieran says, to build a women's division, they need to stop pairing people, then unpairing them, though. Liv has been with Rhea, Tegan, and now Raquel in a year, which is a very fair comment. The pairing and unpairing is what's causing the issue. A lukewarm response for Charlotte Flair. No rally at the moment. I only do SmackDown live streams. Peter says, what's the news on Butch being rebranded back to Pete Dunne? The news is that Butch has been rebranded, but they're not going to make it official until after the breakup of Brawling Brutes, which is apparently coming relatively soon. I'd imagine Ridge and Pete Dunne turn on Sheamus, and thus they're able to work against Sheamus for the near future. Sean says, in your opinion, do you think episode 3 should have been the final of the Star Wars movies instead of 7, 8 and 9 being the final movies? No, I don't think we've seen the final movie yet. I mean, there's plenty more to come. Charlotte's given a very entitled promo that's not going to warm fans to her. If she wasn't against Rhea Ripley, I think she'd already have been turned by the fans. I think I need to do a big sneeze. I do. And we're okay. Eric says, who would have thought that when Riot Squad delivered with the biggest star of the group? Actually, plenty of people did. Plenty of people thought that. As we hit the draw segment, Rhea Ripley is coming down to challenge Charlotte Flair. Dominic Mysterio in tow, which is always a plus. Christoph says, Rich Holland was, to my knowledge, the first one to visit Big E at the hospital. People who talk like that are just clueless. In many ways, it's disrespectful to Big E to be so protective of Big E. Raleigh says, I'm looking forward to Mania. Okay, Raleigh, you've asked several questions now about the internet wrestling community. I get that you're frustrated. There's an easy way around that. Just stop engaging in it. You'll be happier, I promise. Joey says it would be cool to see a returning Pete Dunne versus Gunter at Money in the Bank for the IC title. I don't think we'll get that. Pete Dunne would need a bit more building to get to Gunter level, I feel. Dominic steps back in the same way that Rhea Ripley did when Rey Mysterio asked her to. Joseph says, Tom, do you prefer Star Wars, Fast and Furious, Maze Runner or Harry Potter? Star Wars. Not big on Harry Potter, personally. Fast and Furious, I've never even watched one of the films. What was the other one? Maze Runner. Again, not seen it. Rhea Ripley stating that she will get back to facing Bianca Belair. I do think we're going to be seeing that once she is champion. She's got a cage in again. She didn't have that in earlier. Is it just because she knew she was getting physical? Does she take it out for wrestling? We have a faster pace to the promo this time. The chant of what is not there. Sean says, I hope Alexa is on the card for Mania 40. Will be the third Mania in a row she's missed. I don't believe it wouldn't help in negotiations to sign a new deal. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong here, but wouldn't her deal expire before WrestleMania 40? Rhea bringing an extra level of intensity here. I like the eye makeup. Again, there's too much respect in this promo. There's too much respect in the promo. Same as Cody earlier. Why does no one hate each other? Of all the people, Rhea Ripley surely is the one who should hate her. The fans clearly aren't enjoying this. Raleigh doesn't think Asuka is winning at Mania. I do. James says Mania needs some more stipulations. For example, a table match. With the amount of multi-person matches we're having, celebrity matches and the like, I don't really think it does. I think we'll get a couple of stipulations, but the big matches will stay pretty firm on it. Yes, Christoph, remember. It was WrestleVotes who reported the 2 fatal 4-way matches. I am very, very interested to know, and I hope one day I will, how much Give Me Sport are paying WrestleVotes for the exclusives that they're getting. Dominic Mysterio stepped in between Charlotte Flair and Rhea. I expected him to get hit. Instead, Rhea's with Rhea with a cheap shot. Good teamwork. Good teamwork. Brad says, I don't think she takes the gauges out of her ears when she wrestled. She certainly did earlier. She was not wearing it earlier, noticeably. Kieran says, even the Gargano and Waller feud has had a better build. That's only been going for 2 episodes. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. Okay, we're about to get physical. Charlotte goes after Rhea. We've been waiting for someone to actually just start fighting for a long time. Okay, now I'm interested. Now I'm interested. It's going to be a very weak pull-apart brawl. Charlotte's been held back by one person. She's trying to grapple her down. It's a bit awkward. The issue is, when you get a pull-apart brawl between 2 women, there's not enough female referees to actually get physically involved. And the men who should be pulling them apart, they're always a bit nervous to actually get hold and pull them apart. I think Charlotte just punched a ref. Charlotte with a haluva kick there. She's going to get fined. Officials trying to separate these two, says Michael Cole. While literally none of that is happening. There is no attempt to break these two up. James says, that's how you save a boring match. I would say so. I'm certainly a lot more interested now than I was. It's a proper pull apart as well. Both women still going for it. It's true that it wasn't particularly interesting. There wasn't enough going on to convince me as a wrestling fan to really invest emotionally in what was going on here. We've finally got a reason to care. They're still going for it. Charlotte challenging Rhea. Oh, throws her over the top. In the crowd is always a good shout. You always get good pops. It's just a guarantee of a good pop. Christoph says, finally Rhea and Charlotte get it on. I love it. And Riley thinks SmackDown's been okay. It's been alright so far, yeah. A very clear improvement this week's SmackDown. I'm finally a little more hyped for WrestleMania. Megan says, another Grand Slam champion in waiting with Rhea. SmackDown's the only title she needs, and I think that moment is very much coming. Very early in her career as well. But you can't deny. You can't deny the star power of Rhea Ripley. You just can't. Charlotte holds the championship high. Rhea just gets free. It's taking 4 people to stop Rhea while Charlotte just stands there gloating. This is everything I wanted. We are finally getting something. Sean wants Charlotte versus Dominic. I don't blame you. Kayla Braxton once again wearing green has approached Sami Zayn backstage as Sami waits for the chance to speak to Jey. We still have that face-to-face. We have Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Both of which should be very good segments. $50 minutes left. I'd imagine there'll be at least one more match. Maybe a Viking Raiders match? Oh, Sami's blaming himself. I think Sami needs a hug. It is a very big character change for Sami. He used to be running away from trouble like this. He's a much braver man. Of course it's New Day. The New Day are on their way down to the ring. Oh, Xavier Woods, I should say. I did forget that Kofi Kingston was injured. Megan says, I'm enjoying these midnight starts. Too bad they're over next weekend. Yeah, we only get 2 weeks of it. But Xavier Woods is on the way down. I'll be going to bed around 2 o'clock. I love it as a concept. It's amazing. Representing the New Day, Xavier Woods will take on LA Knight. They were both involved in the 5-man match last week. They are talking about LA Knight feeling that he needs to be involved at Mania. This certainly is a storyline worth having. Eric says Rhea is about to be a Triple Crown champion. Joey says this is cinema, guys. Riley says good stuff, needed that brawl. Agreed, Tom. Finally. Joseph says I prefer SmackDown over Raw because you get Roman on SmackDown. Who for them for a Raw can you get Cena, Cody, Becky and Johnny Gargano. James says I was going to skip this match. Maybe I won't now. Mustafa says that last Mandalorian episode though, great. Okay. Haven't watched it. Mandalorian really didn't catch me. Traffic says no fights either day where Sami said fine, I'll pull up. Yeah. It's very out of character historically. He's a very different man than he was. Very different man. Riley says wonder who Cody Rhodes is chatting to, Heyman or Reigns? Doubt it. Yes, Joseph, I'm aware. Okay, right. So Joey says, I'm joking by the way, still don't see a reason to care for the match. Give him time. I think there's a suggestion there that good stuff be coming. Brad says Rhea will actually be a quintuple champion because of the NXT UK Championship. And Joey says perhaps that Stone Cold report we got could become true. Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin has been at Titan Towers making some negotiations, talking to the WWE about a deal. Vince McMahon has personally been involved in it from what I'm hearing, and there is definitely interest from both sides. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Sean says Xavier, the only man who's a part of New Day to never hold a singles title in WWE. Yes, but to be fair, that means a third of the New Day haven't. It's not exactly a big group. Megan says, I'm going to enjoy this at least. I know. It should only be a 10-minute or so match. Just an opportunity for LA Knight to show what he can do. Triple H, as we know, is a big fan. And in many ways, LA Knight did Triple H a big favour by agreeing to the feud of Bray Wyatt. I do kind of miss LA Knight from Triple M, though. I feel he did add a lot to that group. And I feel the group added a lot to him. Even if what it added was mostly just suits. Suits are good. Suits are wonderful. More suits. We have just broken 1,000 viewers to reach 1,016. We currently have 45 people in the chat as we speak and 26 likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. There is more content coming. You will get the daily morning video of wrestling rumours from the day before. You will, of course, get spoiler warning news shows on Mondays and Fridays. And of course our SmackDown watch parties. We have our WrestleMania watch parties coming as well that may be worth checking out too. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. Keem says, any news on Bray? There was a report on Bray Wyatt in spoiler warning earlier, about 40 minutes into the show. By all means, pop over and check that out. It's unfortunately not the best of news. Unfortunately not the best of news. I do like that the 2K23 commercial has Logan Paul working against Cody Rhodes. It's not Logan Paul, it's just someone wearing Logan Paul's gear. But that's supposed to be the dream match now. Traffic says, I'm sort of digging the way Triple M is going with Otis, though. I agree. I'm excited to see what we do with Otis. So, right before the segment with LA Knight, we are seeing Steve Austin on our screen for his work on Up Up Down Down. Nice juxtaposition there. Very nice juxtaposition. Dominic says, are you going to have a watch party for King of the Ring? No, we'll be in Saudi Arabia, won't it? If it's in Saudi Arabia, I absolutely will not be watching it. Winger says, Xavier Woods, who I adore, and LA Knight, who is eye candy, so this is all good for me. Xavier Woods hyping up the crowd. Waiting to see what LA Knight can do for him. I'd imagine LA Knight picks up a win here. He's wearing much closer to Steve Austin gear, I'll tell you that. A chant as his name goes through from the ring announcer. The crowd are behind this. He's definitely popular, I'll tell you that. The fans are behind him. They are now using up, up, down, down to launch matches. We have a wild sighting of Madcap Moss playing game of 2K, which has not been paused, with Madcap Moss being interrupted by LA Knight, who once again is in black and white. He used to be a colourful guy. I wonder what happened. I've just realised they actually had LA Knight in the game as well. He was picking up a ladder in the background. It's as good a reason as any for a match. At least they actually announced it before the show started. Or at least it happened before the show started. That's clever from LA Knight. I do wonder how it works as a wrestler. You know full well that you go to a show and then during the night matches are just randomly booked based on what happens backstage during the day. If you're not someone who picks fights, you never get on a show. Maybe that's what happened with Madcap Moss. He just needs to pick more fights. He needs to be more of a bully. LA Knight audible there. Needs to work on that. Joey says Triple M gives me PTSD of Vince. I don't think it's a bad concept. I don't think it's a bad faction. I just don't think they get enough time in ring. I think it suffers unfortunately from the same thing that Bray Wyatt has suffered from. There's just not enough going on in the ring to make me personally invested. The same way we finally just got something for Charlotte and Rhea, and it's long overdue, and it's ignited the passion a little bit. But it took too long to get there. It took far too long to get there. Xavier Woods with a drop kick. LA Knight with a good sell. We have just over 40 minutes left. We also have the McIntyre versus Sheamus match. So I would imagine we will only have that as the other wrestling match of the night. Then, of course, we have the Jey Uso Sami Zayn segment. 20 minutes for each. Seems absolutely fine. No sign of people like Karrion Kross. No opportunity for him, it seems. But as someone who's not likely to be at WrestleMania, I completely understand that. They are again throwing suggestions that maybe Xavier Woods will be King of the Ring this year. Sean says no sign of Roman. It doesn't seem like Roman's there. I haven't heard anyone say he's backstage. Logically here, I'd expect LA Knight to pick up the win and gain momentum. But I expected the same when Kofi Kingston and Karrion Kross wrestled. And that is not how it went. That is not even slightly how it went. Speaking of which... very short match, LA Knight loses. So if he's trying to find a route to WrestleMania, I don't think he's found it. Just no one's allowed to build momentum under Triple H's regime, are they? Nobody. WWE confirming the induction of the Great Muta. Bailey says, how would you fix Karrion Kross? The entire push has been as bad as Lacey Evans has been. With Karrion Kross, you've got to have him win some matches. I'd have had him beat Kofi. I'd have had him beat Xavier Woods. I'd have had him beat Madcap Moss a few more times. I'd have had him start to gain momentum. Have a good showing in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Just start winning matches. It shouldn't be that difficult. Megan says, I would not be mad if this later turned out to be the King of the Ring final. Ooh. John says, Shinsuke to induct Great Muta. Seems unlikely, after all, it is Ric Flair who announced that it was going to be happening. Andy Barr, welcome. Says, I think Triple H is doing an awesome job. I just think he should add more matches to WrestleMania since it's the big show. No, the big show's in AEW now, Andy. Traffic says, ugh. Joey says, Roman's going to be on Raw. Really? Again? And Stuart says, here he is a week late. Christoph says, did you get the Karrion Kross interview I sent you last night where he praised Triple H? Yes, I did. Everything you send me, I'm going to get, mate. Like, you're in my DMs all the time. Joey says, feels like they're burying LA Knight. I wouldn't go so far. It's just the fact that no one is allowed to gain momentum under Triple H. It just doesn't happen. Peter says, no carrying cross at WrestleMania. I'm so disappointed. Hey, I mean, come on. There's no need to be insulting. Good faith and all that jazz. Good faith. Next up, when we return from commercial break, we will be seeing Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. You know this is going to be high quality. I'd be shocked if they don't give this 15 or 20 minutes. Absolutely shocked. Nice to see Liv Morgan is trending on Twitter at the moment. Always nice to see. Christoph says, really surprised Xavier won. Maybe they will push him after all. I don't know on that one. I think there's a possibility that he'll be King of the Ring, but certainly that's a way away at this point. Xavier Woods not going to be at WrestleMania unless he's part of the Tag Team Fatal 4-Way, of course. But will Kofi Kingston be fit in time? I don't believe he will. Sean says, I don't think it's great for the build for Roman to miss. I agree. I think this was a time where they should have put their money in their... put their hand in their pocket and convinced Roman to be as involved as he possibly could. Like, what else is he actually going to be doing? It's the build to WrestleMania. Surely this is the time to use some dates. But no, it seems like they might be trying to keep those dates for after WrestleMania and not have one big break. Maybe they're worried that if they go to Saudi Arabia without Roman Reigns, people aren't going to buy the tickets. I'm confident they still will buy the tickets, but we can't sit here and guarantee it, can we? We really can't. The main event segment seems set to be Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. The Bloodline in general has dominated the main event segment for 3 years? 2.5 years. For 2.5 years, because it was the August 2020, wasn't it? For 2.5 years, the Bloodline have dominated the main event segment of SmackDown. Sami Zayn's involvement has not changed that at all. At all. Not in the slightest. I would like it if the Usos delivered a beatdown. That's logical, I feel. And Kevin Owens did in fact come to the aid of Sami. But I do think it's more likely at this point that Cody Rhodes would come to the aid of Sami. After all, he's trying to get the rub from Sami Zayn as well. Joey says the rosters are going to be very stacked when Randy, AJ, Riddle and Ciampa are back. I don't think Ciampa plays into it at all. I don't think there's any particular big plans for him. I know he has some fans, but I don't think the WWE are planning to push him. I just don't. They'd probably push him the same way they're pushing Gargano. Every now and then he's in a match. That's kind of it. They're hyping again the Sami and Jey Uso stare down. I feel like they might be overdoing this one. Really kind of making the whole show about it. The fact that we've mentioned Kevin Owens leaving again, you never can tell whether that's a real one. LA Knight is walking backstage. Doesn't seem to have noticed the camera right in his face. Kayla Braxton has asked for a word. LA Knight essentially begging Rey Mysterio for a WrestleMania match and gets punched in the face. LA Knight does want his WrestleMania moment. I'm guessing he's going to get it. Also picking up some enemies in backstage, which is always nice to see. If you're a heel, get some enemies. We haven't seen Gunter yet tonight, but it is mostly about Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We are getting a hype package for this match. We're getting a hype package, guys. I don't know how to handle this one. We're getting a hype package for this match between McIntyre and Sheamus. I can't complain. Absolutely cannot complain. Joey says Ciampa and Johnny teaming again would be a great addition to the tag division. I agree. And I do think it's likely, though it does depend on whether or not we're going to see the way. I do like how we're looking at the match flow from last week, and we're immediately seeing The exact same match we just saw, LA Knight and Xavier Woods. And he says, I agree DIY would help the tag division, especially if FDR are back in play. If the Revival return to WWE, and we've got DIY right there, I'll absolutely take it. Christoph says, I'm still feeling Imperium might get involved at some point. I'd like that. Anything that results in both of them going to WrestleMania is something that's going to make me very happy indeed. Drew versus Gunter was the original plan as of months ago. So it's nice to see that Sheamus is sort of getting his flowers here and getting some respect, getting more involved, and getting his chance to step up and remind people how good he can be. He is, of course, Mr. 5-star in the WWE at the moment. He and Gunter performing extremely well at Clash at the Castle. They've gone back to that well several times. And I'm not complaining about the idea of them going back once more. If Sheamus does win this, he will beat Gunter. If Drew McIntyre wins, Gunter will retain. If it's a triple threat, it's anybody's game. James says, I still don't get how that match ended in 2 winners like that. Yeah, I do feel like they've decided to finish before they actually work out how they're going to get there. They just sat down saying, okay, but how do we get them both involved? And it's making it a bit awkward. It is definitely making it a bit awkward. But at the same time, I don't care. We're getting a triple threat, and I'm just very happy about it. Joey says, I hope Imperium get a tag title match in the future. They're one of the best teams on the main roster. I do feel Imperium might be a very good shout to take on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the near future. Imperium moving to Raw, I feel, would be a very, very good thing as well. Though that does mean Austin Theory moving to SmackDown. Or John Cena. One or the other. McIntyre now making his entrance, a man who needs a sword just for the hell of it. James said they should have made it 2 matches and then it's those to which leads to a double count out. This may well be a double count out. And Christoph says, you know that triple threat is going to be banger after banger after banger. The banger bros are very much in play. Sean says, Sheamus versus Drew is going to be a good old-fashioned Donnybrook. Megan says, I know it's St. Patrick's Day, but Angie rocks a St. Andrew's flag. Sean said, did you like any of the matches Sheamus had with Triple H? I thought they were okay. I didn't feel the problem with Sheamus. I felt the problem with Triple H at that point. He couldn't quite go anymore. Michael Cole is promising a lot of things right now. My concern is that they're immediately about to go to another commercial break. Because it's WWE and that's what they do. I also feel, after all, we're doing this on St. Patrick's Day. I feel like this is a good spot for Sheamus. And a good recognition of what's going on in the world around. We are indeed seeing Imperium. Gunter looks like he's going to be coming down to watch the match in play. Which, to be fair, as the Intercontinental Champion, it's important to remind everyone that you're there, you're watching, and that you very much care about this finish. He looks very good with that championship. That championship's been changed. They've updated that belt. They've updated that belt. That's a new version that Gunter's wearing, surely. We have gone to a commercial break before the match started. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hopefully we can get a full 15 minutes. I don't think we will, but hopefully we can. We're going to get another 2 commercial breaks. One in the middle of the match and one afterwards, aren't we? Just very awkward. Just very awkward. Joey says, imagine if Sheamus brings back his old theme at Mania. I don't see any value in it. I like the theme he has now. So does he. Kevin says, no disrespect to Rhea or Charlotte, but this feud is ice cold. I disagree, Kevin. I do feel that the pull-apart brawl did its job today. It certainly made me more interested than I have been. It still needs a lot more to really get me emotionally invested. It does not feel main event level right now. But I do feel that Royal Rumble winners should main event WrestleMania, so I'll absolutely let it have it. Of course, it's not up to me. But when I say I'll absolutely let it have it, I'm just assuming I get a say. So we're going to have 2 more commercial breaks, 1 more wrestling match, and 1 more segment. Honestly, I think we have to upgrade SmackDown to good. I don't know how these next 2 segments are going to go, but I know it's going to be a good segment. I mean, it's Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. There's no bad way this can go. We've got Gunther available to get involved if he so chooses. There's no bad thing that can come of this. We're going to follow up with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, which will be brief, admittedly, and mostly entrances, but it should also be very entertaining. So, I don't see how this one can go wrong. I really don't. Dominic says, is Clash at the Castle coming back again? Nope. Because they don't need to. They're going to the UK again once a year. As I reported immediately after Clash at the Castle, the WWE are looking to go to the UK once a year. They will be going for Money in the Bank this year after they return from Saudi Arabia. There was also talk about, of course, we know about the Puerto Rico event. There is talk about an Australian event and one in China as well. They are going global. The continentalization, they're phrasing it. They're going continental. They're going intercontinental. And in many ways, they're making a lot of money doing so. Because let's just say the UK is paying a pretty penny. Puerto Rico are paying a pretty penny. Australia are interested in paying a pretty penny. The WWE has already got plenty of money. And it knows how to get more. It knows how to get more. It really does. It's a shame we're not getting an Ireland show. Particularly when you consider that you've got Becky Lynch, you've got Sheamus. There is a strong Irish contingent in the WWE that can certainly find a way to make an impact. You've got Finn Balor, of course. There's enough people there to warrant a whole pay-per-view. And you could certainly give them a push at the time. They were all top stars already. The only one who isn't at the top right now is Finn Balor. I know Sheamus still didn't get his match with Roman, but you get what you get. They are showing the Stranger Things parody. Interesting that John Cena is the voice speaking to her. Still holding all her piercings. Sean says a New Zealand show so Dakota can be a part of it. It's an option. I don't know if it's one they're particularly pursuing. Rhea Ripley crushing a can with her mind because John Cena said she could. A good play on the music there. I like what they did with the music. Rhea must have really enjoyed filming that. I must have really enjoyed it. Joey says, I don't think I could watch a pay-per-view in Asia because of the time zone difference. I would still watch it because ultimately it is my job and I'm trying to grow a channel, so I'd still watch. Saudi Arabia, I say no in any way. But I'm usually up until, 4, 5 in the morning for pay-per-views anyway. No real way around it. Drew McIntyre offers a hand to shake. Sheamus does not want it. They are, of course, establishing there that Sheamus is going to be the heel here because Drew McIntyre is always the good guy. This is, of course, the guy who kicked out of End of Days, and it meant pretty much nothing. Interesting the direction that Drew has gone in. Since losing the championship, since he stopped being the top guy in the company, he worked with Baron Corbin. He's now looking at working with Sheamus and Gunther. He has dropped down the card quite considerably. The only person he's really bodied since Baron Corbin, of course, has been Karrion Kross, who he's bodied all the time. Just many, many times. Joey says you'd have to be up really early in the morning. Most people are sleeping at that time. You got to make it work. When this is what you do, you make it work. I do like that the commentary team are sort of gently trying to get someone onto the microphone. Gunter is now speaking to Wade Barrett. I like the sign behind saying, "Where is Pat?" Gunter's being talked through the options, showing his respect. John says, "Oh, it is John Cena moving the can, Tom. Remember, we can't see him." Oh, you're right. He in fact made the reference, "You can't see me." Not Gunter's strongest performance there on the microphone. The match is a bit clunky so far. An awkward clothesline. Bit of an issue off the ropes a moment ago. They need to get into their groove here. We know what these two can do. Unfortunately, I've got to say, so far, they haven't done it. We're getting a bit better now. We're getting a bit better. Traffic says, "I like Gunter speaking always, but I don't know why the camera needs to focus on him mid-match." True. If he's on commentary, you don't really need to have the camera looking at him. And Christoph says, "I like Drew. Maybe he has just done everything he could do with this character and it's time for a change." I agree with that. Of course, if the Universal Championship does become available, he may end up being the guy to hold it. He's, after all, Drew McIntyre. He's a definition of a safe pair of hands. I would like to point out, and I do really like this, Drew and Sheamus are wearing very similar gear. Very similar gear. Also, in many ways, quite similar gear to what LA Knight was wearing. Joey says, "The matches Sheamus and Drew had 2 years ago were awesome." I thoroughly agree with that. I don't think I'll ever stop agreeing with that. Okay, McIntyre took that pretty firm. Like, that's not necessarily a sell job. He's hurt. He just got kicked in the face. Sheamus very nearly getting impaled on a sword there, unconsciously. We're getting another Tower of Doom spot. Well, we can't, can we? There's only 2 people. I think it's worth pointing out as well, McIntyre and Sheamus found ways to get the Thunderdome over. Their matches were good enough. It's a superplex. The matches were good enough that you didn't really worry about the Thunderdome being part of it. And they would just go into the Thunderdome and start breaking things. And that's another commercial break. The pace of this match has been quite slow. If anything, it's making me less interested. Megan says, "Is it just me, or does Gunter's calm eloquence make him even more intimidating?" No, I agree with that. And it's the same when you interview the guy. He is very softly spoken, but very firm in his commitment. He knows what he believes, and there is absolutely no point at which he will waver in believing it. In many ways, he's kind of got that serial killer vibe. Serial killers, they know they're going to kill you. They don't need to make threats. They can just take their time and do what they need to do. The plan's in play. You have no chance. That's the vibe I sometimes get from Gunter. You don't have a chance, and he knows it. So why would he worry? What possible reason could he have to worry about you, about little old me? No reason at all. No reason at all. Kervin says, "Nakamura injury or taking a break?" Creative break, there's no injury. There is no injury. He's on creative hiatus while they work out a new plan for him. My suspicion is that we will see him and Rick Boogs become a tag team again. That's what I'd like personally. He's another one who I feel needs a draft at this point, just for the factory reset. But he's not planned to be on the WrestleMania card, so they're not focusing on him. There's no injury. There's no particular problem. If anything, I feel they've just told him, "You're not going to be needed at the moment. By all means, wander away and do your own thing." Why wouldn't you? It's what happened with Asuka. She came back, had a character reboot, and a WrestleMania match. I don't think she can really complain about that. I think that's exactly what you could want. I don't think you could possibly get any more than that, really, as a wrestler. You're told, go and have a break for a couple of months. Well, it wasn't a couple of weeks. Go and have a break for a couple of weeks. When you come back, we'll give you a new character and a championship match at WrestleMania. You'd bite their hands off. You really would. Bite the whole arm off. I'd essentially bite so deep that there's nothing of them left. So 20 minutes left. One more commercial break, which will be after the end of Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre and before we get to Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn. But we do have a match finish to be concerned with. What do we think it's going to be? How do we think they're going to write themselves out of this one? I'm really not sure. I'm confident we are going to get both men challenging Gunter at WrestleMania. I'm confident of that. But I don't know what they're going to do with the finish to make that happen. Is it just a good old-fashioned dusty finish? Is it a case of being attacked by Imperium? Is it a double count-out? Or does someone actually just win this match? Do we just have Drew McIntyre win and go one-on-one with Gunter? Is that the plan? Does Sheamus not make it to WrestleMania? Is he personally not involved? How would you do it? Gervin says, this Monday, Asuka and Bianca versus Carmella and Chelsea Green. Remember this? Can they coexist? Yeah, I do remember that. This is extremely similar to the Bianca-Sasha Banks feud, where they just had them pair up repeatedly. James says, why don't they put the NXT title at Mania? Because the NXT title is not a main roster title, and only main roster titles are on WrestleMania. If they start putting NXT championships on there, they are essentially taking away opportunities for championship matches and non-championship matches from people on the main roster. They're not willing to do that at this point in time. I can't really blame them. Kevin says, if Bray Wyatt is not going to be at WrestleMania, Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, via the report from WrestleVote, is going to be in a tag team with Ricochet for the Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania. I don't really know what the plan is with Bobby Lashley. I reported earlier about a bit of a standoff between Bobby Lashley and Triple H. There are definitely some issues happening there. I don't know if we're going to see Bobby Lashley tonight. I don't think we're going to have time. I'm still confused by the knee from Sheamus. Primarily because I don't understand why he would do that when he could have done the Brogue Kick. It's basically the same motion. Just finish him off. Sai says, really good crowd in here tonight. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Sai. It is a good crowd. It's high energy. It's positive. Plenty of views. This is awesome chant from the crowd. They are loving this. Christoph says, I go with Imperium interfering, causing a no contest. Then Adam Pearce says, triple threat. Basic, but efficient. I don't think too many people are concerned about how we get there. We know this match is going to be good. So I think people are just more concerned about getting there. The how is not really important, is it? Sean says, in 49 days, Bron Breakker will break Adam Cole's record as longest reigning NXT champion. Does he break the record? No. We're at the point of just throwing haymakers. I'd like to watch, but instead, we're watching Gunter on the outside. Another knee. Just do the Brogue Kick. Just do the Brogue Kick. Logically, at this point, we're going to get a Brogue Kick Claymore combination move. Both men are going to be down, and maybe that's a double count out. I would like it, the idea that they beat each other into submission. They just can't survive. What did I just say? What did I just say? What did I just say? The crowd want the count out. The crowd are into the count out. The crowd know what's coming now. They want the triple threat. Gunter has interrupted the referee, stopping the count and ensuring that the match can continue. However, he's now in the ring with the two. demanding that they get up. Gunther now has isolated himself in the ring, and Imperium attacked from behind. Technically, Sheamus won that. Sheamus was attacked first. Technically, Sheamus did win. But, yeah. I liked where that was going. I wouldn't have had a big issue with the count out. The Banger Bros have handled the issues of Imperium, but they cannot handle Gunther. Gunther has taken them both down. We know where we're going. We're happy with it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, Gunther powerbombs Sheamus into McIntyre. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Takes his championship and walks away. Again, we know where we're going. I don't think anyone's unhappy with how this is going. I don't think anyone's unhappy that it's quite predictable. Oh, Adam Pearce is there. He's on screen. I can't wait for the crowd pop here. Go on. Just do it. A good pop there. A very good pop. It's what we all wanted. It's the match that we deserve. We deserve this. We deserve this. I do like that the Brawling Bruce did not at any point come down to help Sheamus out. Just didn't bother. Traffic says, God, I love his drop kick. Just such a simple thing. He does it so well. Country is just exceptional. Keen World Peace says simple ending, which it absolutely was. Dominic says it'd be cool to see Gunther versus Roman match. Stick around because it will be happening. Kevin says, I'm still waiting for Rhea Ripley to go to Ric Flair's house and attack Ric Flair. I don't think we're going to be seeing that one. Christoph saying, let's call the manager. We need our triple threat, and that is exactly what we got. Bailey says, Gunther taking off the jacket is like Bianca Belair taking out her earrings. Watch out. Sean says, I'm not sure how Alexa lost the first match to Bianca. Yet she attacked the ref, but the bell never rang, so to me there was no winner. I have no recollection of what you're talking about there, Sean. Megan says, the real winner is us getting to see this match. We deserve it. It's the match that we deserve. This, I feel confident in saying, has been a good SmackDown. Some confusing options. LA Knight losing in the way he did is not something I'm personally supportive of. But ultimately, still a good show. Still lots of hype for different feuds. And we've got Rey and Dominic, which is an exciting prospect. We've got the Tag Team Championship match, which is an exciting prospect. We've got the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat, which is a very exciting prospect. I don't know. SmackDown's kind of doing it for me at the moment. It's kind of doing it for me. Sean says, when Alexa and Bianca faced each other on Raw for the title before the Royal Rumble. Ah, okay. Gotcha. Dom says, last segment, don't forget to hit that like button, or we have one word for you, remember. Please do remember to hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Every like goes a long way. Also, every comment goes a long way. We have something called chat rate on YouTube. We also have it on Twitch, but it's less visible. And the more people are in the channel chatting away, even if it's just between each other, just between yourselves, it means that the YouTube essentially looks at it, recognizes that there's a lot of engagement happening, and decides to advertise the show more. We're currently on 1,501 views, which is a fantastic number. We are not far off our actual subscriber number, which is always very impressive, and that does tend to result in more subscribers. So, even if you have hit like, please remember as well, just jump in the chat, enjoy yourself, and even if you're just chatting between yourselves, you are helping grow my channel, and I am very grateful to you. Christoph says, Alexa got disqualified in her first match with Bianca on Raw. Cool. Joey says, I think they're giving LA Knight the Seth Rollins story, where he kept losing going into Mania, then a surprise opponent turns up. LA Knight versus Jay White could be fun. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying anything else. Not saying anything else. Kevin says, why did WWE continue to job LA Knight? It's not a job. He lost a match. That doesn't mean he's a jobber. Very different things. Very different things. Sean says, I say Sheamus is the one that takes the fall in the triple threat. It's a triple threat, so he doesn't really... They're all three going to be battered to such a degree, and there's so many combination moves, as we've just seen with the powerbomb, that we're pretty safe whoever gets pinned. That said, Drew McIntyre owes Gunther a loss, and I don't mean that Drew McIntyre should win. I mean, Drew McIntyre has pinned Gunther when he was still known as Volta on the main roster. Not quite good enough for me. Drew McIntyre needs to lay down. They're announcing for next week Rey Mysterio versus LA Knight. LA Knight's third SmackDown match in a row, which is more than you've seen for a lot. Ideally, I can see Dominic getting involved there. Jey Uso has made his entrance off camera. He's in the ring, just him with a microphone. Sami Zayn already on the way down. No sign of Jimmy or Solo at the moment, and no sign of Roman, of course. Sami already has something to say. We do know that Jay's conflicted here. We know that for a fact. Joey says stream is frozen. Anyone else having that? Because I don't think anyone else is. Doesn't seem to be any internet issues. I know this is going to end in a beatdown NWO style, but I'm still invested. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate that. The thing, we know that Jay doesn't blame Sami. We know that. Cheers, Kevin. James says, is Roman here? Wasn't he supposed to be? He's supposed to be every week. We get told every week Roman's going to be here, and he just isn't. We are getting a close-up of the history of the Bloodline here. I think Jay's actually going to show some respect. I think he's going to show some respect here. Cheers, Christoph. Paul Heyman never really liked him. I mean, there was a whole trial happened. Oh, this is good. This is just betrayal. Is Sami Zayn the bad guy? Like, genuine question, because this is a good promo. Is Sami Zayn the bad guy? Strong words. James says the false advertising is crazy. So many would come to WWE to see him in person. Very true. Sai says Jey Uso is a really, really good promo. This is an intervention. This is an intervention here. Kevin says Ronda Rousey's really out of WrestleMania. Well, that's you saying that. Sean thinks we're going to see Cody involved here. Oh, this is too good. Oh. Nick and Tom is just going to be focused entirely on this. The bloodline is not finished until Jey Uso finishes it. Jey Uso had to silence it. He had to silence it. It's the abusive relationship. He can't see the other side. Sami got out, and Jey blames him for that. Jimmy Uso involved. I expected a beatdown. Here we are. It's right to say I expect someone, Cody possibly, but this would be a great time for Kevin Owens to reveal that he came back. Oh look, it's Kevin Owens revealing that he came back. I've had a good day for this. The Usos are staring down the ramp, suggests that Kevin Owens is coming from behind. Kevin Owens is coming from behind. I'm having a very good day on this. Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure is live every week on the PW Torch Daily Cast. I suggest checking it out. But we do now have the ability to upload podcasts for YouTube. So if you guys are interested in that, maybe that's what we'll do. Kevin says, I'm glad you enjoy it. You mean Resident Evil 4 remake, not 6. Kevin Owens dealing with both Usos. Bailey says this is the best long-term storyline since, well, when? It's a good question. It's a very good question. Daniel Bryan? Kevin Owens has control of the ring. We have a couple of minutes left, which is enough time for Sami Zayn to get up. I think the moment might be now. Another hug it out chant. A loud one. And no Cody Rhodes to be seen. You know what I really liked there? Sami was afraid. Sami was afraid that Kevin Owens was going to hurt him. Sami was afraid. Oh, Cody Rhodes. Go back to what's actually... Go back. Thank you. Sami Zayn backed off from Kevin Owens. He was afraid. He was afraid to love again. This storyline is too real. It's just too real. Friendship is not an accident. Wow. Michael Cole needs to work out what he's actually saying there. Good SmackDown. That was a good SmackDown. Sai says, quite rightly, we did not need Cody there. That was egregious. Megan says, another week, another moment of me feeling sorry for the sound team having to manage all the broken mics with Sami's pops. Yeah, he knows what he's doing with them, doesn't he? He knows what he's doing. That has been SmackDown. It's been one of the better ones from the last few weeks. I am much more hyped for WrestleMania than I was before this particular show started. It is 2 in the morning, and you know what? I am going to have myself an early night. We will be back tomorrow with our daily wrestling rumours. We will also, of course, be back for spoiler warning on Monday. But until then, as per usual, all I can really say is that I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.